botany questions and stuff like that.
Oh, there you go, right there.
Cool.
Oh, little salamander.
It's gonna be a wandering salamander.
In here.
No way. See, I never spent time flicking over logs. I guess you
Let everybody
tripped
catch
over
up.
it. You definitely need more trees.
this would normally be filled with water through the whole, this whole area.
Does it have tree frogs?
Oh, you can hear them at certain times.
Yeah.
In fact, even in the ravine over there.
This is Plethodon vehiculum, the redback salamander, western redback.
Western redback.
Western redback.
Oh yeah.
They're Plethodon as salamander. What's neat about these salamanders, they occur in big numbers in really moist areas. So any of these sort of valley bottoms. So they're a lot of sort of research at the university has been done on these guys. Try not to handle them with our hands. On
So
this.
we just randomly picked up a log. As I say, it's a whole another world underneath these logs, and lots of things use it as a place to live. It provides moisture and protection and food. And under this one log here, we found one of the most common salamanders around, called western redback salamander. This is it's a lungless salamander, so it needs to stay moist the whole time. There's about yeah, so it's right there. So some of the studies that show these salamanders in older forests show that they're one of the dominant species in a forest like this. And if you were to take, there was a particular study done closer to Victoria, and they basically looked at biomass, and the comparison was if you took every single one of these salamanders that was in a patch of forest, put it in a big pile, and then you caught every other vertebrate and put them in a pile beside it, the pile of salamanders would be larger. So they're everywhere.
There's more meat in salamanders than in deer.
And these, yeah, but deer taste a lot better.
Lots of neat things about these guys.
You don't taste them.
A lot of the time hunting nocturnally, so they're figuring its chemical senses. And you also see a lot of these guys, if you were to look at them, they do nose taps, like tap their nose. And there could be mating. There's a whole bunch of things for that. It's another neat, it's called a plethodon. It is the group it comes from. And plethodonid salamanders have made this transition to these sort of moist areas. They don't have to go back to a pond to breed or anything like that. So they're a real good sort of species that's adjusted well to these types of habitats. Crabbed beetles.
Two creatures that are being shown on people's hands are salamanders. They're called western redback salamander. And there's also a viewer going around which has a centipede in it. And you can look through the side or the top on the viewer.
Salamanders per unit area.
Is he? He doesn't like to be in the light. He's always underneath something hidden.
I mean, the Darren and I could just sort of flip this one small log, and there's at least two salamanders.
So the western redback salamanders are in their hands. So you have to catch.
Neville, are they omnivores?
No, they can feed on earthworms. But they love to go after crabbed beetles and things like that. So small little. There's a lot. Yeah, ground crabs.
Skin, and they're very sensitive to it. So you should never handle them, even when you find them yourself. Just under this log here. Yeah, they're everywhere. They're really common.
So that's how they find them? They just grab a pot of...
Yeah, I mean, if you just flip over a log, you'll see them because they'll be right underneath the log, and then you can use some moss to pick it up.
So if you take my vertebrate class, you'll be able to ID a Plethodon vehiculum, western redback salamander every single time.
Saying that this area we're in is an ephemeral wetland, which right now is feeling very ephemeral because there's very little water.
So the thing you notice about it, you can see his costal grooves or his ribs. If you look closely, he's got this little sort of, well, just where where our ribs are. So it's really made a great adjustment to these sort of terrestrial conditions.
How did you spot them?
Just flip the log over.
Oh, okay.
On it. The neat thing is, can he climb? Well, this is a crazy thing I found is that, when we climbed the redwoods in California, there was an analogous plethodon to this that was up in the tops of the redwoods. And I thought, hey, this is great because the thing we needed in the Carmana at the time was a salamander or snake that was, 60 meters off the ground. Kevin and I have climbed like 5,000 trees plus, mainly Kevin, and haven't found a vertebrate or a salamander type. We found birds, obviously, and things, but nothing salamander, nothing snake at all. But they're in California. They're in the tops of redwoods. So somebody can, answer the question, why aren't they up here? And I couldn't answer that. I'll blame it on glaciation. That seems like the best thing to do.
So only invertebrates up high here.
Yeah, we'll put this guy back in the log. He's tired. He's walked further than he has his whole life. But they are very common. So this is one of the things when you do step on a log, think there's probably something underneath it. So cover objects are really important, and we might be able to find a couple other species of salamander or newts, especially when we get closer to the water.
What about frogs?
And there should be frogs here as well. There should be the chorus frog, known as the tree frog. There should be toads in this area. And I don't know that red-leggeds come out this far. I would have thought red-leggeds would have been here, yeah. So the 3 species that occur on Vancouver Island are here. So what's the name of this salamander?
Western red.
Western redback salamander. If that's too hard to remember, it's Plethodon vehiculum. You have your choice. I'd remember Western redback if I were you. So if you ever do find one, the way to put them back under the log is to put the log back where it was and then let the salamander move to its spot. Otherwise I'd let him fall. Claudia? That's a good idea.
You try not to because they're sort of absorbed. This guy wants to crawl on them. Stop it.
We're actually looking for spiders when we rolled this thing over, and all we found was these darn salamanders. Sorry.
Yeah, this one wants to just escape. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
So maybe Darren will tell you how to sex these salamanders. I don't know. I seriously don't.
You have to flip them over and you have to know what you're doing.
Look at the naughty parts. Yeah, that's it.
We have a friend that's working on them, and they tag them with glow-in-the-dark paint, basically, a latex that they inject just under the... and they've got a pattern, they'll do it on each leg, and you can sex them, but because I don't need to sex them, I don't know how. So
this one.
We just don't know.
The viewer, you can look to the top or the side with the viewer, and I'm going to put various arthropods in there. The thing that went around was what? Centipede. Yes, centipede. And what are they? Are they predators or vegetarians? Predators, yeah, and they're really fast. And that is a good clue. When something's fast, it usually eats other things.
Come on,
and then
buddy.
if it's slow, it's just gnawing away on a piece of fern, and it doesn't need to run. Another creature that I have here, found under the same log, a very popular log, is called the snail killer ground beetle, Scaphanotis angusticolis. And this is a really common beetle in this forest, and they do eat gastropods, so slugs and snails, and also any other thing. So if you have a vegetable garden or a flower garden, and you get big ground beetles, big black beetles in your garden, you should always encourage them. They're your friend. They're considered a beneficial. Okay, so they're predators. And if I put it down, you'll be able to see that it's a pretty fast creature too.
They usually smell too. They release some.
We'll find another one. They're very
They
common.
come with sound effects.
Yeah.
And remember, when you look through the viewer, objects are larger than they appear larger than they are in real life. So don't drop it.
Yeah. So centipedes have 1 pair of legs per segment, and millipedes, which are vegetarian, have 2 pairs of legs per segment. So they're leggier. They don't really necessarily have 1,000 legs versus 100 legs, which is centa versus milla. Okay, don't count their legs. You'll be tired.
We might get to the center.
Yeah.
So the vegetarian has more legs? So
The vegetarian is a very slow animal.
Oh, but he has more legs.
More legs.
Trips on them.
So when it gets